5, 6, 7. I have lost count. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to this evening's event here in Atlanta, now known as the EchoPark Speedway. We got some drafting tonight, some pack racing on the tightest super speedway that we go to on the NASCAR calendar. Tonight, it's going to be race number 9 of the Cyber Thunder Racing League Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series season 2025 to, that's a mouthful, say that 5 times fast. As always, joining me in just a moment will be my co-host Tom Richter, but for now, we're going to open up with just ourselves right here. Before we jump into everything, drivers have a little bit left in practice, just under 10 minutes to go before we hit qualifying. And as has become a tradition, I like to jump into it with a little bit of some power rankings as we head into tonight's event. 8 races down, and we find ourselves with a bit of a shakeup here in the power rankings. Cody Gibson climbs to the top this week and is going to be the first driver to displace Greg Mitchell on the top of the board. Greg Mitchell slides down to second, Tanner Marr to third. Due to no fault of Tanner, of course, coming home second place last week, but Cody Gibson jumps up ahead of both of them with a win. And momentum-wise, that leaves Chris Mackey in fourth, Andrew Caldwell in fifth, and a little bit further down, 2 new names in Jason Raymond and Amanda Sherman cracking the board for the very first time following last week's event in Dover. Outside of the power rankings, we've also got some other stuff. I threw in the points right here. It's not a fancy graphic, but it does show the points nonetheless. Here's how it's looking headed into round 9. Here's a reminder for this season. There is no win and in. Winning a race does not guarantee you a spot in the postseason. And with that, we do have 3 of our race winners up top. Pardon the sirens outside. And we're looking at 1 through 10 on points. 11th and 12th are determined by who has the most stage points from those just outside of the top 10 on points. 11th through 20th. Whoever has the most stage points, those 2 drivers get those 2 wildcard spots. Entering tonight's event, that would be Dustin Ping and Rick Thompson. But there's how our points are shaking out at the moment. It's pretty close down towards the cut line, and there's a lot to race for. And we're in quite the crazy place tonight here in Atlanta for the points to be shaken up in the perfect manner. And speaking of my co-host just a minute ago, I think Tom's finally caught his way up here.
Yeah, Arie, good evening and happy Tuesday to you. And well, we come to the great challenge of Atlanta Super Speedway, EchoPark Speedway as it's now called. When we come to a super speedway, a lot of times we think about the 3 and 4 wide racing and the accommodations that the track can make for it. Tonight the story's a little bit different here, Arie. A lot narrower track and racing surface for these drivers to use.
That is entirely right. Atlanta / EchoPark provides a very interesting challenge. One of the most interesting challenges on the entire circuit being how tight of a track it is, considering you're full throttle for the most part, at least on the short runs. And your pack racing, your drafting, you've got to do all the same things you do at Daytona and Talladega, but here there's a lot less room to work with, and you're cranking a lot more into that steering wheel, causing a lot more tire wear. So a very interesting challenge indeed, and something that a lot of these drivers are not going to be quite ready for.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very difficult race for a lot of these drivers. We were talking to a couple of different drivers out in our open practice. The drivers are finishing out here. A lot of people were saying, you know, they see cars floating up, they see cars getting sideways in the middle of the corners. We saw a couple of 3 wide situations that we weren't sure we were going to come out on the other side. So I think we're going to see a lot of that out here tonight. And then you come to the challenges of pit road here, Arie, something new for EchoPark Speedway that iRacing has implemented.
Oh, absolutely. That pit road is quite the doozy, and I don't know if we would find anyone on track who's going to be attempting a pit stop right here, but you can kind of see through turns 3 and 4, all of those painted lines down there on the apron. If you want to pit under green flag conditions, even under yellow flag conditions, you've got to pull off of the track on the backstretch. You've got to go all the way through turns 3 and 4, down off of the racing surface, and then enter the pit road from there. This isn't like your traditional mile and a half where you can get away with, I want to see if I can see which driver that is down there. Maybe Brad Holmes in the 00. Not sure who it was, but I was going to get a good view right there. Either way, it's not like your traditional mile and a half where you can pull off as you exit turn 4. This one's going to be a challenge, especially under green flag conditions when you're pack racing and you might be coming down with 6, 7, 8 other drivers at the same time. I'll tell you what, Tom, I'm glad I'm in the booth and not behind the wheel for that one.
Yeah, definitely. It can get away from you very quick. Drivers are able to use whatever they're able to get down there. There is no speed limit until you get closer to the pit road where that yellow cone is. So it's going to be a fun one to watch these drivers try to work their way through and try to coordinate it together to come down onto pit road without incident. But we are about getting ready to close out our open practice out here right now. Eric Anderson, last time we were at a super speedway in that number 43 Ford F-150. He's in a Ford this season. I never remember. He's always changing it up. The Ford that Eric's in this season. Last time we were at Daytona, Eric picked up a win, and Eric's already kind of called his shots around here at the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Said, you better watch out for that 43 tonight. He's going for Super Speedway win number 2 of the season.
Absolutely. Right in front of him, first-timer, Paxton Frith, going to be driving the 19 truck this evening. Looking forward to his debut as well. Tell you what, Tom, before we jump into qualifying, why don't we go ahead and send it trackside for our pre-race ceremonies, and we'll be back just in time to set down some hot laps. All right, drivers wrapping up their final lap or two here in practice as we get ready to switch over to qualifying. Topping the board in practice, I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise, but it's Mr. Gary Bowman, driver of the 8 truck, driver who is probably one of the odds-on favorites to get the pole anytime you come to a flat-out super speedway track like this, but Atlanta is a little different, so we might see a shakeup.
And Gary is going for something special out here tonight. If Gary is able to get a top 5 out here this evening, it will be Gary's 100th top 5 in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Only the second driver to get to 100 top 5s. That's a great accomplishment, and if you're able to do that, you know you've done something special. As Gary finishes this practice first on the board with that Toyota Tundra, we're waiting to see who lights up first off of pit road here from this mile-and-a-half super speedway of EchoPark Speedway. See the drivers getting into their trucks and getting ready to roll off a pit road here.
That's right. Is this the part, Tom, where you convinced me to mention that the only other driver to hit 100 was you?
I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that is that is true. Gary looks to join the 100 Club for top fives out here this evening. Been around here for a long time. Another driver's been around here for a long time. Is this 88 of Amanda Sherman? Amanda, one of the fastest cars in opening practice. She rolled off a pit road first, so let's get ready to see this 88 take a wide entry down here into turn number 3 and try to get those RPMs wound up.
Let's do it. And I tell you what, Tom, why don't we jump on board here with Amanda Sherman so we can kind of see some of this wheel input right here over the qualifying lap, because wheel input is really what it's all about in oval racing, but particularly when you're qualifying on these full throttle tracks. There's no difference or skill gap in how much throttle or brake you're putting on. These tracks are entirely determined by your momentum and your steering wheel input. That makes all the difference. Usually the pole comes down to, a hundredth or even a thousandth of a second, and you can find the entire field spread over 2/10. And that's all it is. It's just that wheel input and how good you can manage it.
Amanda Sherman comes across the line first time by. She is the first one to complete a lap. Currently first on the board, followed by husband Corey Sherman. Chris Letts in fourth, and Nathan Duffin in the 47. Currently holds onto the provisional pole as more times come across. Chris Mackey sitting in second, Jason Raymond in third, as we got a whole bunch of drivers out on track right now. A hot track here at Atlanta.
We do. Coming across the line for the second time, Amanda Sherman is going to stick that truck top of the board provisionally. That time right there. Everyone else getting their times on, and Corey Sherman up to the top as we jump over to Gary Bowman, driver of the 8. Going to be coming around to finish his second lap through turns 3 and 4 as we run. Ed Jurgen, top of the board. Out of 4 comes Gary, and to the line, going to cut the entire apron right there. Mr. Bowman in the 8 is going to shoot at P2, narrowly missing out on teammate Ed Jurgen's 7/1000th of a second.
Second on the board for Gary Bowman right now. Andrew Caldwell comes across the line to complete lap number 2. Going to be good enough for 16th, make it 11th on the board for that 46 of Caldwell.
Cody Gibson with a really good lap. You don't expect to see that name up towards the front of qualifying at a super speedway.
Yeah, Cody Gibson takes the pole away as it stands right now from Ed Jurgen. Tanner Marsh slots into the 11th place position as Mike Stiverson completes lap number 2 for number 20. See where Mike is able to jump up to. Going to be good enough to jump up to 11th on the board. Couple of drivers still out on track. Looks like Greg Mitchell sitting down here on pit road, and looks like the 55 is going to be rolling here off of pit road.
Do you reckon Greg waited just so that he could go out when he was alone and get all this camera time to himself?
I mean, it would not surprise me if that was the case with Mr. Mitchell there in that Chevy Silverado. Greg got 3 wins on the season so far, and looks to. Greg is kind of. We started Daytona with I think Eric probably had the points after his win at Daytona, but race number 2 and forward as we're working race number 9 out here tonight. It's been one name at the top of the board, and it's been the 55.
That is right. I don't think you can count out Greg anywhere you go, whether it's mile and a half, short track, road course especially, even super speedway. Greg has a super speedway victory here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League at Talladega a couple of seasons back, so he's shown he can get it done anywhere. Very versatile driver, one of the most versatile that I've ever raced with, and you can never count him out.
And you see him going all the way up. Oh, he's going to tag the wall getting into turn 3. Where he did that, Arie, that's going to affect both laps. Didn't get any damage or anything, but iRacing's going to invalidate the first lap here for Greg Mitchell, I do believe. And second lap is going to have to be the one that counts for Greg Mitchell.
It certainly is. And I got a feeling that this might just come down to the battle between Cody Gibson's current time, 31.463, and whatever Greg Mitchell can put down right here. I think he'll be a contender for it. We'll see just how far up he can get as he comes through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. On the final lap, cuts down across that apron, perfectly legal, and across the line we go. P15 for Greg. That's surprising, Tom.
Not the qualifying effort that Greg Mitchell wanted out here, but that wraps up our qualifying session out here. So Cody Gibson going to pick up where he left off after last week's race at Dover. Starting on the pole out here tonight. We're going to get ready to go. What do you say, Arie? It's It's a Tuesday. Now you want to go racing here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network.
Oh, I tell you what, I am so ready for some action-packed super speedway racing here at the Atlanta EchoPark Speedway, whatever you want to call it. On the pole, it's Cody Gibson, driver of the #1 Flamin' Hot Cheetos truck. He's been on a tear, looks to continue that tear tonight, alongside Ed Jurgen in the 92, who's on the front row. Great showing from Ed Jurgen in qualifying tonight. On row 2, it's going to be Gary Bowman and Eric Anderson, 2 long-time Cyber Thunder Racing League participants. We've got Corey Sherman rounding out the top 5. Just outside of the top 5, teammates Matt Semple and Brad Holmes, 6th and 7th. Ahead of Dwayne Young in 8th. Rounding out the top 10, Philip Van Vliet and Logan Spencer.
Starting 11th on the board is going to be Mike Stiverson in that number 20 out here this evening, and he's going to be starting next to Tanner Marr, driver out of 5 Kings Motorsports. Andrew Caldwell in that number 46 Toyota Tundra going to be starting next to Chris Letts. Greg Mitchell, we just saw, qualified 15th on the board out here tonight. Uncharacteristically qualifying effort for Greg Mitchell. Nathan Dufton in the 47 rolls off 16th. Jason Raymond starts 17th. Paxton Frith, a series newcomer in his first Cyber Thunder Racing League starts 18th. Jared Anderson and Amanda Sherman round out the top 20.
Just outside of the top 20, it's going to be Chris Mackey in 21st, followed by Andy Cork in 22nd. Rick Thompson, driver of the 76 truck, in 23rd, alongside Jaden Wicks in the 02. Brad Collins rounds out the 25th position. Lee Campbell in 26th. Fred Thompson, 27th. Brian Dorsey, 28th. Dave Gainforth and Casey Tomlinson round out positions 29 and 30.
Interesting look here, Arie, as we take a look at the bottom of the scoring charts out here for qualifying. A bunch of drivers, 23rd through 30th. So Rick Thompson, Jaden Wicks, Brad Collins, Lee Campbell, drivers of those sorts did not elect to take a qualifying time out here this evening. So we're going to have to see how they're able to make their way up through the pack in these first 30 laps, which is our first stage. Lap number 30 is our stage, and then also lap number 57. So that's what they are racing toward.
30 and 57 should be a fun one this evening, Tom. I'm looking forward to this one. Have been looking forward to this one for a while. Just when we thought it couldn't get crazier as we kind of transitioned from the first quarter of the season into the second quarter of the season. You know, we've seen the points get shuffled. We've seen the power rankings get shuffled. And now we're about to see it all shuffle all over again, because now it's time to go super speedway racing. Couldn't ask for a crazier way to get us into that mid-stretch of the season.
Absolutely, and we are about ready to go racing. You see the field of 30 drivers making their way down the backstretch here, and when you come to a super speedway here, Arie, it's your nerves are nervous at Daytona and Talladega, but I think here they're just amped up a little bit more, because one mistake, you don't have the luxury of having the room to correct it if somebody does make a mistake in front of you. So we're going to see some 2 and 3 and maybe even some 4 wide racing out here this evening. But it's about time to figure out who's going to walk away with the checkered flag out here from tonight's race in the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck Series, Arie.
Certainly ready to go for it. Barney's got that green flag ready. And Cody Gibson, Ed Jurgen on the front row, going to lead us to green. That flag's waving, loud pedals down, and on we go. Lap 1 of 134.
Side by side down into turn number 1. Cody Gibson, Ed Jurgen, they're going to bring us through for the first lap out here. Gary Bowman on the inside of row number 2, followed by Eric Anderson. Everybody's stacked up 2 wide just as they start halfway down the backstretch here, and they're coming at 176, 78 miles an hour down here to
Man, that's a great shot heading into the corner right there. We're at a super speedway. They're going to be running at about the same speeds that they do at a Daytona or Talladega. Difference is, it looks like they're going so much faster than at those other tracks because we're on a track that is, you know, a mile smaller than either of those others. So it really kind of amplifies that sensation of speed, and you definitely feel that behind the wheel and in the pack as well, where, you know, you don't have as much room. The corners are tighter. You feel like you're closer to everyone, and that margin for error is significantly reduced. This is, you know, I think the hardest super speedway that you go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now the cars are driving as good as they're going to drive all night. I mean, they got fresh tires on here. As these laps go along, you're going to start to see these cars on the bottom lane start to float up. and perhaps maybe even try to see some drivers use more of that top line to make the corner a little bit wider, make the radius a little bit wider as they go around, maybe put a little bit less wheel in it. But you could already see some of the drivers starting to slide up just a little bit. I think we saw Nathan Dufton possibly get into the wall down into turn number 3 there just a second ago.
Yeah, driver sliding up is a really good point, Tom. I was about to bring that up as well. As opposed to a Daytona or Talladega, here you're going to see drivers prefer the outside line. When lines are breaking up, when things are spreading out, drivers are going to go up the track as opposed to down the track. And the reason for that is all because of the tire wear. Sure, the outside line and the bottom line, you could argue the speed of them, the effectiveness of them, but when you come to Atlanta, when you come to EchoPark here, there's no debating the fact that the outside line is going to take care of those tires significantly more, and your tires play a significantly larger part of the challenge in a super speedway race here at Atlanta as opposed to the others.
Up front, it is just like the pace lap started. Cody Gibson still leads with Ed Jurgen to his outside. Gary Bowman on the inside started third, and Eric Anderson, guess what? He started fourth. How you see him run is how they started this race out here this evening. You get into a position out here, Arie, that it's very difficult to try to move forward because is there a third lane available here? Yeah, sure, probably. Would it work at this stage in the race? Probably not.
Yeah, it'd be very risky to see someone shoot a 3 wide right here. The only time you're going to see that is if someone slips up in front, if someone has nowhere to go, or, if somebody's just getting that crazy with it. Is we see some drivers kind of peeking at it, but, I think if we see that this early in the race, and especially if it goes wrong, I think it's going to really, really wake some people up here as to the dangers of going 3 wide on a track like this, especially this early.
On board here with Jaden Wicks in the 0-2, had to take a longest line penalty for missing the drivers meeting out here this evening, so started 30th last on the board for the 0-2, and you can just see the drivers and the cars that he's got in front of him. Not a whole lot of room, and you can hear him having to play with the throttle a whole lot more. Now, Arie, when you're back here like this and you're playing with the throttle, obviously you're on the off the throttle, you're heating the tires up, right? If you're doing that, though, could this possibly save your tires a little bit more than if you were out front because you've got more off-throttle time back here than you do if you're in Greg or Cody or Gary's position?
I think it certainly can. It's not guaranteed. You got to be careful about it, but you can certainly save more tire, just like you can save more fuel when you're back there as well. You just got to pay attention to what you're doing. If you get in too much of a rhythm, too much of a zone right there, you might start putting more wheel in than you intend to, even though you're kind of letting off the gas and not really going as fast. So as long as you're mindful of it, yeah, you certainly can save tire back there.
See the challenges that these drivers have in front of them right now. Tanner Marr comes into tonight's race solidly inside the top 10 in points. I think he's sitting, is it third in points or fourth?
He's sitting third.
Third for Tanner Marr, having a great season out here so far this evening. Started 12th on the board and currently runs 12th as they cross the line to begin lap number 10 of 30 for our first stage.
You can see as that bottom line is kind of broken up a little bit, leaving Tanner on a bit of an island right there, and it is an opportunity. You see Dwayne Young in the 48 jump down to that bottom line, and this will be something that I think we see a lot of tonight, and I think it's going to be the biggest opportunity for drivers to come and go as they please. At a Daytona Talladega, you've got more room. It feels like it's a little more varied, where here it's going to come down to a lot of the tire wear. It's going to come down to drivers kind of going up the track, and if you have enough tire to make the bottom work, you can jump down there and maybe gain some spots. But equally so, you can also lose them, because on that bottom line, if you're being if there's one car up there that's really bad on their tires, getting worn out, they're going to hold everyone up behind. And that outside line, that is always going to be formidable at a track like this. And the longer you go in a run, the more these laps tick down, the stronger and stronger that outside line becomes.
I tell you what, Arie, a lot of these cars out here right now looking very uncomfortable as they come through the start-finish line, through that dog leg. Probably the trickiest spot on this track, this entire mile-and-a-half super speedway, is that dog leg, because the car is already starting to feel a little loose as Rick Thompson dips down. I think Rick has said, I've had enough of this pack, but it gets very light coming through there, and just watch them coming through here, and you're going to see everybody just kind of jostle left, jostle right, and it's kind of a miracle that they don't wreck every single lap they come through here.
Oh, it certainly is. This tri-oval is one of the most dangerous parts of any racetrack all throughout the season, if you ask me. So I think that's the spot I kind of have circled for if we're going to see any big incidents tonight. I think it's going to happen there, and maybe it'll be coming to a stage end, maybe the race end. We'll have to see, but looks like these drivers on the outside line particularly are really content with just kind of riding for now. You know, if I'm Mike Stiverson, Andrew Caldwell, or even on board with Greg Mitchell right here, if I'm any of these guys, I'm feeling pretty content. I've got a good, comfortable spot on the outside. Sure, you may be a little further back, but I'm not going to be in panic mode. I feel good right here that I can manage my tires and that there's no gaps for anyone on the bottom side to kind of squeeze up ahead of me.
Yeah, you take a look at the position right now, and you purposely try to put yourself in a position like Greg and Mike have here, where you got drivers that are working together, they're teammates on track, they know that they can communicate, but even furthermore, you take a look behind the 55 of Greg Mitchell as Jaden Wicks now comes and slots in on the outside lane there, but just a second ago there was nobody behind the 55. That gives them a little bit of options. If they see something that they don't like, gives them the option to bail out of this and say, hey, you know what, it's only lap number 15, we're going to back up out of this, and we'll restack and we'll get back up here once we fill it.
It's a great point, and we're seeing some shuffling going on up towards the front, as I think that was Matt Semple dive down to that bottom line. That's going to break up that top side quite a bit. Now Ed Jurgen and Eric Anderson left on an island with no help. Looks like Dwayne Young might try to fill that gap up there ahead of Logan Spencer on the outside. Dwayne's thinking twice, maybe three times about it. Gary Bowman finally decides to go up there with teammate Ed Jurgen, get those two teammates nose to tail on that high side. They're going to have Eric Anderson back there. Maybe somebody else will choose to jump up there, but it looks like that bottom line is staying pretty connected, pretty good right now.
It is, and you're starting to see, and it hasn't completely disintegrated, but you're starting to see the top lines start to fall apart. Only got 3 cars running strong at the front of the field right now. A couple of car lanes back off of there. You see Matt Semple. I want to say that's Jared Anderson and Nathan Dufton also running up in the outside lane. But all these drivers kind of migrating down towards the bottom. We know that their fuel run is approximately, what did we say, about 37 laps, 32 laps before?
37.
Okay, so they can make the stage on fuel.
Yeah, fuel won't be the concern. I don't even know if tires will be that much of a concern running about 30 laps on the stage. I think more than anything, it's going to be track position and, you know, how some of these drivers cope with that. Some of these guys that are in the back half of the top 10 or just outside, how desperate are they going to get for those stage points and for that track position? I think for the guys up front, you know, the top 5, I don't think they're going to be as aggressive, as desperate, but I think in that little mid-pack area, once you're on the borderline of stage points or no stage points, that's where we're really going to start to see the aggression intensify as we close in on the end of stage 1 here, as we're sitting with 11, 12 laps to go in this first stage.
One thing I'm noticing here, Arie, is we were on the rear camera of Gary Bowman. This front pack has mainly stayed the same. They're still 2 and 3, is still mainly 2 wide. This pack now being led by like Amanda Sherman, Casey Tomlinson, Brian Dorsey. This group is not overwhelmingly far off of the front pack, but a whole lot more separation back here. They're running a lot more single file back here, so we'll see if this is the strategy. The problem is Arie, when you're running this close to the pack that's in front of you, even if you've got the idea, you know, let's get a little bit of separation. If a caution happens, I can avoid it, right? You're still close enough that you're very much in the opportunity to get collected in it.
You certainly are, and if you're in a position like Brian Dorsey right ahead here in the 9, or, you know, even Rick Thompson up there, even on the outside line, Logan Spencer. If you're in that in-between phase where you're kind of giving yourself some space, but you still have drivers behind you, that's almost even more dangerous sometimes, because you'll be the first one to be ready to check up. And the problem isn't the main pack ahead. The problem is the drivers behind you who are also trying to play it safe. And
Dwayne Young just had a big
it looked sketchy right there. I was surprised we didn't have to cut the caution right there mid-sentence, but glad we didn't. These drivers got it all sorted out. They're getting dicey here with 9 laps to go in stage 1.
Let's take a look and see if this doesn't work here. Take a look, see if we can't see what Dwayne Young just went through. He may be a little bit far back on this. Take a look as he comes through the the front stretch here. You're going to see him get underneath the 43 and have to take a pretty big move down in front of the 4. And they get through it, but almost had a bigger issue.
Yeah, it looked to me like Dwayne tried to fill that bottom line, and Tanner wasn't having any of it. Tanner cut below him to make sure to push him back up the track right there, and they got it sorted out. But it looks like Dwayne's not afraid to push it 3 wide. That much is for certain as we see that 48 truck trying to look to the inside of the 43 here. I think Dwayne's getting a little antsy. This might be where it all starts. We were kind of talking just a second ago about where does the aggression start. Towards the back half of the top 10 right here. Looks like Dwayne's going to be the one that wants to go after those stage points.
And yeah, I mean, Dwayne is not really doing anything wrong by any stretch of imagination. It's just there's nowhere to go at this point unless you got somebody that you trust running directly behind you. Right now, he's got Mike Stuyvesant. Listen, I know Mike for a long time. I don't know that Mike is going to say, yeah, jump on up and I'll push you up to the outside lane here. So we will see if Dwayne is able to improve his current running position of 8th. But with 6 laps to go in the stage, they know that the next time by, if we do get a caution with 5 laps to go or less in the stage, that is when the points are handed out and we will not be going back green flag racing. So a lot of these drivers know that, you know, they may be running out of opportunities here if something goes awry.
Certainly the case, and I think we're starting to see third car in line on the bottom. Brad Holmes, Mr. Double-Double, might be getting a little bit tight. I've seen him wash up the track in the corners for a little bit now, and he might not be the only one experiencing that tight condition on the bottom, but that tells me that that bottom line is starting to suffer a little bit of a disadvantage. Now, they do have the advantage of taking the shortest way around the circuit, of course, but, you know, you got to wonder how hard these drivers have been on their tires. If you're Cody Gibson in the front, you're probably feeling okay, but if you're any of those other guys, Corey Sherman, Brad Holmes, Matt Semple on the bottom, you've been in that dirty air the whole time. You've been a little tighter than the leader of that line, and that's gonna, you know, take a toll on those tires as we increase the lap count and get closer to the end of stage 1.
That we are, and Cody Gibson started first on the board, currently runs first with
3
4
wide
laps remaining in the stage out here. But yeah, these drivers, Mike Stuyvesant slides up the track just a little bit. He's lucky he's got Greg Mitchell behind him. Greg says, yeah, just come on back down, and we will continue our way on. But Cody Gibson and Gary Bowman have been making the show up front. Double-Double and Brad Holmes and Matt Semple right behind them. I think if you're going to see a group of cars try to do a 3-wide situation, maybe the 16 and the 0-0.
Could be. Those are 2 of the more aggressive drivers. And, man, I keep watching that 48 truck. Dwayne Young, he's finally going to get an opportunity to stick it 3 wide on Eric Anderson. They touch, and somehow we're still going.
How they got away with that is beyond me. And they may not be done here.
Yeah, they're still going, and they somehow, wow. Dwayne Young elbows out to get that position ahead of Eric Anderson. Somehow, some way, we keep it going. Bottom line's broken up a little bit as Matt Semple dropped back. That allowed Mike Stuyvesant and that bright orange 20 to dive down there to the bottom. Going to be the 4th car in line down there as well. But that bottom line's broken up quite a bit. This could be a good opportunity for the likes of Gary Bowman, Ed Jurgen.
This time by, we're going to see, Cody Gibson goes around, Gary Bowman goes around, Dwayne Young hard in the wall. Multiple cars, 10, 12, 15 cars down into turn number 1. Yellow flag is out. Amanda Sherman involved, Rick Thompson, maybe Brian Dorsey, Casey Tomlinson. Oh my goodness. We were talking about the stage, and the stage did not end the way it raced.
No, it did not. Let's see if we can't go back here, get a little bit of a, oh wow, we're gonna have to go even further back by the looks of it right here. Let's see if we can't go, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see here. All right. We're gonna have to get a little silly with the camera work right here. Bring us back just a little bit. Hit rewind on the tape here, and let's see if we can't watch this. We're gonna slow it down. See if we can't get a good camera angle. This starts up here with the race leaders coming to the end of stage 1. This wasn't the final lap of stage 1. We still had a little bit to go here, but We're going to watch as Ed Jurgen gets down to the inside right here, and Ed Jurgen just kind of comes down into the bottom line. That's going to hook Cody Gibson into Gary Bowman, and nowhere to go for the 48. Looks like the 00 gets a little bit of damage on the left side right there. The 48 actually launches up into the catch fence. Philip Van Vliet involved, Corey Sherman, Eric Anderson involved. Heavy damage for some of these drivers. Greg Mitchell involved down there. Looks like Nathan Dufton gets a piece of that. Jason Raymond gets a piece of that. Brian Dorsey. Looks like we've got Logan Spencer in there as well. This was quite the ride, quite the situation. Let's go ahead and come back to this one more time right here. I would love to get a view from on board the 48. Let's watch this in real time. Yeah, that was quite the pile up right there, quite the conundrum. I'm so surprised to see this many drivers involved in a wreck this early on in the race. Absolutely not what you want to see for a number of fast trucks, a number of competitors. Looks like we've got some very severe damage for driver of the one, our pole sitter, Cody Gibson, who had just shot up to second in the point standings after a win last week. Cody Gibson's going to have some significant issues out of that one. We've got a penalty for Ed Jurgen. Cause of the caution, it'll be a restart at the end of the longest line on the restart. That basically just means whichever line, bottom or top, has the most cars in it, Ed Jurgen has to start at the tail end of it for fault of the incident. And with that, it is somehow shaken up in such a way that bright orange 20, Mike Stiverson, is in control of this race. As for the stage points, stage results, those are going to remain unofficial until the race end. I don't even have a name to give you for the stage win after that one, but Mike Stiverson, Jared Anderson, Andrew Caldwell, they're going to be the top three. Jaden Wicks, Andy Cork in the top 5 as well. This is... you just about inverted the field right there, Tom.
I tell you what, you see Mike Stiverson up there. I want to take a closer look at some of these trucks that are up towards the front now. Take a look at Mike Stiverson. Quarter panels look clean on Mike Stiverson. Jared Anderson looks like he checks out. Andrew Caldwell, Jaden Wicks, they look like they check out. Chris Mackey and Andy Cork, they also appear to check out as well. So looks like some of these drivers that were kind of maybe running a little bit more conservatively in the opening stages of tonight's race, see Brad Collins, Rick Thompson right there, they look fairly clean. Brad Holmes, maybe a little bit of damage. Can't tell if that's the paint scheme or not on the left front of Brad Holmes. Casey Tomlinson rounds out the dirty dozen up inside the top 12. All those cars up in the front look pretty good.
Yeah, and there was a fair few trucks in that incident that I think are going to be able to have that damage fixed to a point where they can still be competitive. The likes of Brad Holmes and maybe even Corey Sherman back there. I see Greg Mitchell. Doesn't look like they got too much damage right there. So a number of trucks involved, but the number of drivers whose chances are nullified by that wreck is significantly less.
Absolutely. Cody Gibson still on pit road, as well as Phil Van Vliet. Gary Bowman has made his way off of pit road, but I would imagine severely damaged for some of those drivers back here. But it's about time we go green flag racing once again. Bring us to the beginning of stage number 2. 27 laps is what's going to make up this stage.
Even shorter distance than we had in stage 1. So we'll see if that changes the aggression level. I think maybe that big incident probably does, if nothing else. So far on the restart, there is no high side. The field is incredibly strung out as Mike Stiverson leads ahead of Andrew Caldwell and Jaden Wicks. We see 2 drivers on the outside, and then the rest of them are kind of back towards the end of the field of those who are on track at the moment. So field in control of that bright orange 20, and until we see a high line start to form right here, I think it might... Oh, here we go. Andrew Caldwell, Jaden Wicks to the outside. Chris Mackey just like that.
Kind of surprised to see Andrew jump out there up on the outside line to the outside of the number 20. The 46 and the 20, Mike Stiverson, Andrew Caldwell, they have raced around each other for a very, very long time, and I think they've kind of known to know what they can expect from each other. If I'm the 46, I think I may have considered just maybe staying behind the 20 because it's a familiar face that I think I can trust as we work stage number 2 here. But Andrew Caldwell, they pay him to lead laps out here, and that's what he's trying to do, working the outside lane of the Speedway, trying to get a couple of laps led for that 46 Toyota Tundra.
You make a really good point about racing around drivers that you're familiar with and drivers in which you know what to expect from, and I think that's really important at these super speedway style races. Though I'll counter you with this, Tom, I think especially here at EchoPark Speedway in Atlanta, I think the track position, being that first car in line, is so important. It goes so far here, especially versus a Daytona Talladega. I just feel like that's an opportunity that you can't pass up.
That's very true as well, and then you could kind of also go into the fact, right? If you're Andrew Caldwell, you know that Mike is not going to slide up into you. If you're Mike, you know that Andrew Caldwell's not really going to pinch you down on the apron, so you can still have that respect level, even working the 2 different lanes. Though I would see it running a little bit differently.
It's a good point, and I don't think there's any wrong answer either way you go about it. I think one of the biggest factors is definitely going to be the second car in line. On the bottom, that's Jared Anderson, and on the top, it's Jada Wicks, but not for long. That might be 3 wide up front.
Brad Holmes is going backwards. Issues for Brad Holmes. Not entirely sure what is going on with Brad, but Brad just lost a bunch of positions.
Certainly did.
Click back here and see if we can't see a better idea of what happens to Brad. So running on the outside lane, he's going to get up into the wall. No, he almost kind of gets stuck up there. Nice job by everybody else to get through.
I'll be honest with you, Tom. That kind of looked like a tire went out on the right side and just kind of swung him up into the wall where he just got grabbed.
Well, we are under the yellow flag for the 2nd time out here this evening. See possible issues for maybe Paxton Frith, but all right, we're going to find out exactly who this is.
Let's do it. Let's see what we've got here for, issues with Paxton Frith and Greg Mitchell. We're going to have to go back a little further right here. See if we can't spot what happened. Oh my goodness, we got to go back again. A little further still with Paxton Frith here. We'll keep it slowed down so we can kind of see what happens here. Greg Mitchell just ahead. It looks like Greg is slowed down, and Paxton gets into the back of the 55 truck right there. Going to touch the 76, and then Greg gets back up in to Paxton Frith on the outside right there. That kind of just sandwiches those guys. It looks like ahead, Gary Bowman, Chris Letts, they get into the wall as well. It looks like this was an incident that was kind of happening all the way down the front straightaway, even a little further back. Let me see if we can't go back a little further even and see what happens with these guys. I'm not entirely sure. Everyone on that outside line is just in disarray. It looks like Chris Letts is fine right here. Gary Bowman's already slowed up ahead. That's what causes those two to have an issue. Gary gets into the 65 right there, and that was just kind of 2 incidents happening at the same time, I do believe, and then there was some hard contact right there. That's Brian Dorsey collected in that. Fred Thompson, Nathan Dufton, as Paxton Frith was kind of out of control with nowhere to go there. It's a little incident after the incident. That's going to be terminal damage from Nathan Dufton. We'll see if that ends his night or if he's able to get some of that terminal damage fixed on pit road here for driver 47. But as we run, half of the field on pit road, half of the field staying out, you can probably imagine which half is which. Those who have remained unscathed and with the track position going to stay out front, and those who have a lot to get fixed and not a lot more to lose going to be coming down on pit road under this yellow. Gonna be working lap 41 this time by 41 out of 57. 5-7's gonna end stage 2. So we still got a ways to go by the time we get this green flag flying once again. And then we've got quite the lengthy stage 3 to round out tonight's event at the conclusion of stage 2. So something to look forward to. And I think the stage points are going to get quite the shakeup here in stage 2 with how it's looking, how this running order, is shaking up at the moment. There are a lot of names in the top 10 currently that could use those stage points for hopes at a wild card shot into the Scrambler Series playoffs later on this season. So this stage 2 here in EchoPark could play a very big role in who our 11th and 12th drivers are for the postseason.
Arie, I'm just taking a look at something here real quick. Every single driver in the running in the top 10 has gained at minimum 13 spots from their qualifying position. That's pretty incredible.
That is pretty incredible. There's a lot of green plus positions in the top 10 and a whole lot of orange minus positions 11th through 20th. It's kind of funny how that's shaken out.
One of those drivers who has made their way up 16 spots from their qualifying effort, Andy Cork, having a good run out here tonight through the first opening laps of tonight's race. Always good to see Andy having a good race. Andy been around the Cyber Thunder Racing League for a very long time. It's good to see him get that 41 Toyota Tundra back up front here at EchoPark Speedway, but it's about time we go green flag racing once again.
Pace car's down, green flag in the air. Mike Stiverson, Jared Anderson gonna lead us off of the front row. A little squirrely from the 17 truck of Chris Mackey. Everyone gets it going in the right order, and down into turns 1 and 2 we roll. Everyone trying to get on up to speed. This field still getting spread out quite a bit. Various drivers running with various amounts of damage, and that is going to be a big factor in how spread out this field gets on these restarts. That just opens the door, opens the window of opportunity for drivers like Chris Mackey in the 17 to try and make something work. When you're not in a traffic jam 2x2 all the way through the field, it gives you some opportunities. As we've got another yellow. Try to cut you off there, Tom. Issues for maybe Dwayne Young, for Jason Raymond as well. Got some issues, a little slow back here. Let's see if we can't rewind the tape right here and get a look at what happened with some of these drivers towards the back of the pack right here. Oh, it starts with Casey Tomlinson and Jason Raymond, and they're going to collect Dave Gainforth in the 101. Looks like Dwayne Young has to go through the grass. Eric Anderson goes through the grass as well. See if we can't get one more shot at this right here. And maybe we'll even go a little further back with driver 49. Looks like Casey Tomlinson just kind of gets a little loose, checks up right in front of the 49. 49 with nowhere to go gets into the back of him, and along for the ride goes Mr. Raymond, and Dave Gainforth unfortunately collected in the chaos of that. Got some more drivers coming down pit road. A lot of these drivers we've seen involved in incidents earlier. Brad Holmes, Ed Jurgen, Logan Spencer, Greg Mitchell, Eric Anderson, Jason Raymond, Casey Tomlinson, of course, Gary Bowman. A lot of these names on pit road at the moment just trying to get some damage fixed. And up front, these guys are just holding on, watching these laps tick by as they seek some stage points here in stage number 2. The likes of Mike Stiverson, Andrew Caldwell, Chris Mackey, and the rest. Why don't we, while we're pacing around here under caution, why don't we go ahead and pull up our race leader at the moment? Here we go. Driver of the 20, Mike Stiverson, in control of this race. Mike, it's been a pretty topsy-turvy race so far. Stage 1 looked to be going pretty nice and good until we got to the end right there and just about inverted the entire field. And since then, it's been chaos and pandemonium. But I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't aware of it, because you just got clean track out front. Walk us through your race so far this evening.
Well, that first accident wreck there in stage 1, I just got lucky. I just stayed low and I saw Ed sideways in front of me. That's about the only spot. So I just got lucky getting through that clean. And then, as you know, this is the best seat in the house right now. I'd rather stay here than back there in the mess.
Certainly the case. You've got a great opportunity to get some stage points here in the stage 2. So now that you got the track position, Mike, are you going to be fighting tooth and nail to win this stage?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not giving up this bottom line. I'm going to sit here. It seems to be, you know, I learned from stage 1 that top line seems to get pretty loose later in the run. So I think this bottom line's probably the way to go, honestly.
Sounds like a good plan to me. You've got a driver alongside you that you've raced a lot with as well in that 46 Andrew Caldwell, someone you can trust. How big of a difference does that make versus somebody you've not really raced around?
Tons. I trust Andrew as far as you can trust another driver, but he kind of hung me out to dry there on the first restart here of this stage, so I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting. All right, well, we'll send you back down with your team. Good luck the rest of the way, Mike. And with that, we are doubled up, getting ready to get this green flag going yet again.
All right, Mike Stuyvesant getting ready to bring us back to the green flag. Interesting that Mike kind of called out the same thing that we did. You know, we were saying, you know, maybe all is fair in Fenway up here, but maybe Mike has got different ideas.
Certainly could be the case. I like that, you know, he acknowledged that he respects Andrew a lot as a driver and trusts him as much as he can, but the dichotomy of that alongside the fact that he remembers Andrew hung him out to dry, and that's the kind of thing that sticks with you at these super speedway races. You got to remember what these drivers do around you, if they help you, if they hang you out to dry, who your friends and who your enemies are.
Well, we are about to go back green flag racing to finish out stage number 2, as we're going to see 11 laps to go in the stage. This time by Mike Stuyvesant brings us up through the gearboxes. Once again, 4 gears strong down into turn number 1. See the track starting to shade up a little bit. One thing that we haven't really seen in this stage here, Arie, I wouldn't really say that we saw it a whole lot in stage 1, is the car is starting to push up. Once we get down into stage 3 and we get into a long run to the finish, that very well could be a thing, and possibly even some green flag pit stops as well.
Could very well be, as we saw Chris Mackey in the 17 jump out to the outside line, nearly cleared Mike Stuyvesant going into turn 3. He's going to have to wait for another opportunity. Got the 46 on his back bumper, trying to get him clear, but they don't have any other help. Chris Mackey's going to get there. New race leader and new leader of that bottom line hangs Andrew Caldwell out to dry. And we're going to see if that outside line can get reformed, but there goes Mike's plans of sitting in the best seat in the house on the bottom line. Mike now has the ball in his court to try and make something happen to win this stage.
And you can kind of see this restart here, Arie, on the track map. It's kind of broken up. There's a whole lot of cars that are not with this lead group, but back up front, Mike Stuyvesant, Chris Mackey, Jaden Wicks, Andrew Caldwell, and Jared Anderson. That's currently your top 5 running order as they run. A little bit of a slowdown for the top shelf of the Speedway right now, but Jaden Wicks going to jump up to the outside line. That's going to leave Mike Stuyvesant down on the inside line with the help of Jared Anderson right behind him.
Jaden Wicks coming out of nowhere to lead that outside line. Might lead at the start-finish line. By the time we get right here, Mike gets sent 3 wide. Chris Mackey on the outside thinks twice about it. And Jaden Wicks getting dicey up there leading that outside line. It's going to give the advantage to Mike Stuyvesant on the bottom line. Jared Anderson in that Target 5 truck, Tom, ever since getting up here, getting that track position, has very quietly just held a very, very consistent, very good position here on track. And don't look now, but right behind Jared Anderson, it's the War Wagon. It's the 88 Amanda Sherman.
Here comes Amanda Sherman, the driver out of Williamson, New York, driving that red and silver chrome, what's she in, a Toyota Tundra, out here this evening for Amanda Sherman. Amanda, always a factor when it comes to super speedway racing, and I think in a lot of ways she would be a factor at a lot of other tracks. You know, if she just played a little bit harder. But that 88 machine looking strong out here tonight, looks clean as they work lap number 51. They're going to begin lap number 52 here, but good run so far for Amanda, up 15 spots from her qualifying position.
Up 15 spots, and let's not forget, Amanda Sherman has a win in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. It came at Talladega Super Speedway a couple of seasons back in the in the Xfinity car, or soon to be O'Reilly car. So watch out for Amanda Sherman here. Up front, it's still Mike Stiverson. Jaden Wicks trying to make that outside line work, and that outside line has gotten completely formed up at this point. At the line, it's going to be 5 to go in stage 2.
5 to go in stage 2. That's what these drivers see. Now, something that's important here is that Mike Stiverson is well outside of the top 10 in points. I don't know with 7 races to go before we begin our Scrambler Series here, Arie. I got to kind of imagine that Mike's path to the playoff lives within the wild card. And the wild card, again, is the driver with the most stage points outside of the top 10 will earn a playoff spot once we do get to our playoffs here. So if he can get 10 stage points here, that's huge.
I think that you're absolutely right on that track, and I would even argue the same for a driver like Jaden Wicks, Jared Anderson, Amanda Sherman. These are all names that I think, you know, they're looking at the wild card. That's their way in, as opposed to a driver like Chris Mackey, who's in the top 10 on points, has had a lot of momentum. Andrew Caldwell, who's in the top 5 in points. These drivers are feeling a lot more comfortable, but there's a lot of drivers up here who need these stage points if they want any shot at the Scrambler Series.
Yeah, and it's difficult, Arie, right? Because in seasons past, right, usually you would assume that a driver that wins a race would make their way into the championship chase, but that has actually been removed. Winning a race does not automatically get you in. It is the top 10 in points overall at the end of race number 17. Those 10 drivers plus the 2 wild cards, so a field of 12 championship eligible drivers will be in the Scrambler Series. So, you know, right about now, Mike and Jared and Jaden and Andrew Caldwell and Lee Campbell, drivers up here, are saying maybe we should have kept that winning in just one more season.
That could very well be the case. And we'll see by the end of tonight's race who's holding that checkered flag and if that especially holds true for that driver. But coming off of turn 4, this is going to be the white flag for stage number 2 in tonight's event. If you got to move, you got to pull it out now.
This is where it all went awry last time. 4 stage points, but Mike Stiverson takes the stage white flag, leads off of turn number 2. Does he lead at the start-finish line? That's going to be the question. Mike Stiverson doesn't have a whole lot coming to him. Jared Anderson currently runs in second. Jaden Wicks, not a whole lot of help up on the outside. Looks like Mike Stiverson going to come out of turn number 4 and win the stage as they come across the start-finish line to complete stage number 2, and this stage is out.
There's the yellow flag.
A little bit of a delayed stage there. It did not recognize the command, so that was fun.
Either way, we got our stage sorted out, and Mike Stiverson is your stage 2 winner. 10 points on the board and 10 points towards that wild card spot for driver number 20, Jaden Wicks, earning 9 points. Jared Anderson with 8 points. Andrew Caldwell, Chris Mackey round out the top 5. Amanda Sherman ahead of Lee Campbell, Brad Collins, Tanner Marr, and Andy Cork. Our top 10 at the conclusion of stage number 2. And now we're facing down the barrel of a very long run to the finish. Currently working lap 58. We now have one run to the very end, which will be lap 134. Any cautions that come out for incident will, of course, shake that up, but no more predetermined stage cautions from here on out, as we expect to see most every driver make their way onto pit road. Here we can see the long entryway every driver has to take, entering on the back straight, staying off the racing surface all through turns 3 and 4. You can see the entire line, our entire field down there on the apron. Got to stay below that white line and completely down and away from where the pack might be racing around the track. You don't actually have a proper pit road speed limit until you get to about a yellow line right here. And
any drivers here, Arie? Any drivers here, Arie, up inside the top 10 at the end of stage number 2? Kind of surprise you that they've made their way up there. Maybe some drivers that kind of catching you off guard out here this evening.
I think Jared Anderson's catching me off guard. You know, do you better than top 10, but running in the top 3 for, you know, most of stage 2. Got up there, as was hinted at earlier, got up there after that stage 1 incident, just found himself in the right place at the right time. But what's really important is that the 5 truck didn't do anything wrong. The 5 truck made the right moves up there to keep himself up there, stayed in the top 3, and has found himself in a position to earn some good stage points and be in a good spot for this final run.
I tell you what, I got to give a tip of my hat to the driver in the number 41 out here. Andy Cork finished the stage back in 10th, and looks like he's going to come off of pit road 9, so it looks like he's going to gain a spot on pit road. Andy Cork having a great run out here tonight in that Toyota Tundra.
Certainly is. Always good when you see Graybeard Motorsports having a good run. It's kind of like the Richard Petty Motorsports or the Wood Brothers of Cyber, if you would, the Graybeard squad. And it feels like, you know, all the drivers are always secretly kind of rooting for those guys and like to see when they're doing good.
A couple of cars going to be taking the wave around. It looks like maybe one car taking the wave around. Paxton Frith in that number 7, caught up in an earlier incident. Making his Cyber Thunder Racing League debut out here tonight is Paxton, and we cover Paxton in other racing leagues, and I've kind of grown to enjoy Paxton's racing style, and it's good to see Paxton out here. Car looks mainly clean, but we're going to see him drive around the pace car here, take his free pass, and is that going to put him back on the lead lap? How many laps is he down? I want to say no, he's 18 laps down, so not going to be the finish that Paxton wants out here tonight, but continuing on for driver number 7.
Got to take every opportunity that you can get to get some of those laps back for certain. Field's going to double up, and we're in the hands of Jaden Wicks at the end of that pit stop sequence, so we'll see what the 0-2 can do in control of this race. Mike Stiverson to the outside. Andrew Caldwell, Jared Anderson on row 2, Chris Mackey, Amanda Sherman, row 3 as we run. We're racing to lap 134. We've got a 77-lap final stage.
So, Arie, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm not that great at math. The first 2 stages, we didn't have to worry about fuel. 77 laps, they can go about 37 laps on fuel. How do you split this 77-lap run, assuming it runs green?
It's an interesting call. If it's me, I feel tempted to just run the tank out, go as far as I can. You never know when there's a caution, and this track is small enough that when you pit, you're going to go a lap down guaranteed. So all of that considered, all of that in mind, run it out, get as far as I can, maybe save some fuel in the pack if I feel so inclined, and just get as far as I can before I come down to fill it up.
Well, we're going to find out how these drivers make it happen out here tonight. Pit stops are the great unknown, as they do need to make the pit stop on the backstretch, but Jaden Wicks brings us up through the gearboxes. Once again, Jake going to be leading us down into turn number 1 in front of the 46 of Andrew Caldwell. Mike Stiverson drops the 3rd on this restart.
Outside line is non-existent until we get to the back straightaway. It's going to be Mike Stiverson making the move. Has the help of that bright red number 5 Chevy Silverado. That's Jared Anderson pushing Mike Stiverson on the high side. Jaden Wicks trying to get a little bit of a side draft coming off at turn 4. Very aggressive from the 0-2. Wants to hold on to this race lead. Now we've got Tanner Marr and Greg Mitchell inserting their names into the conversation for the first time this evening. Going to be 3rd and 4th on the outside line.
And right now on board with Lee Campbell, taking a look at Ed Jurgen. Amanda Sherman not too far up in front of Lee Campbell. Lee Campbell currently runs in 11th place out here tonight, started 29th on the board, so solid improvements so far for driver number 60 in that Ford F-150 of Lee Campbell. How does he continue his march forward? That's going to be the question he has to answer. But it looks like there's shakeups at the front, possibly 3 wide.
Three wide indeed, as Jaden Wicks gets shuffled out. Mike Stiverson to the lead on the bottom, and now Jared Anderson trying to lead that outside line. Where does Tanner Marr go? They're going to stick with the 5, keep that 0-2 in the middle, but as so long as that 0-2's in the middle, that might be a little bit of a roadblock. Looks like Jared Anderson's actually going to let up and let the 0-2 get back in front. Jared Anderson making a very wise veteran move right there, not to force the 3 wide issue. Just let the 0-2 back in right there, get 2x2 once more to get yourself a good shot to get back up there towards the front.
halfway down the backstretch. Mike Stuyvesant leads once again in front of Andrew Caldwell. Those two drivers.
17 in the 0-2 touch. The 0-2 into the wall. Sorry to cut you off there, Tom, but Jaden Wicks all the way into the wall, going to fall all the way back to the end of the pack. Looks like Chris Mackey, the 17, just got real tight going through 3 and 4, and then got locked into the side of the 0-2, just kind of got hooked and couldn't get off of him. That sent Jaden Wicks into the wall. That's going to be 0-2 out of the picture, and that shakes up both lines quite a bit. That outside line getting formed again. But Jaden Wicks with some issues right there. Doesn't look like significant damage, just lost a lot of momentum on that one and might even lose the draft right here.
I think that's the bigger issue for Jaden Wicks right now is possibly losing the draft. I mean, that's how fast it happens. Just was leading a lap and a half ago, and now currently runs at 17, 2.5 seconds off the race leader, in danger of losing the pack, and I think that may happen for the 0-2. But Mike Stuyvesant, Andrew Caldwell. Can we take a look at this driver in third place here, Arie?
I'm telling you, you gotta watch out for that war wagon, that silver 88. Amanda Sherman creeping up into the picture. She knows what she's doing, and her confidence is at an all-time high when she comes to these super speedways. So I think you hinted at it earlier, but if Amanda raced at other tracks with the confidence that she has at these types of tracks, it would be a completely different story. It'd be a completely different Amanda Sherman in terms of the results. But she might be taking some advice from Dale the Possum riding shotgun on that war wagon, but she's up there now, going to be pushing the race leader Mike Stuyvesant on that bottom line.
Comes through to begin lap number 69 of 134. Over halfway through this race as these drivers come through. Looks like Chris Mackey, he's going to slide down in front of Mike Stuyvesant, try to take the race lead, try to take the bottom lane and control the bottom lane as he's able to do that. Now Andrew Caldwell. Andrew Caldwell, I think Andrew has probably been the most committed to a lane that we've seen almost any driver so far this evening here. Arie, I think Andrew has probably been the one driver that we can count to always find his way up there and jump up there, even if maybe it doesn't benefit him at that very moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've seen that out of the 46. He knows where he wants to be. He's confident in that outside line, and I think that's a really good sign. He's got the track position. He's been up front for a lot of the race now at this point. I like what I'm seeing out of the 46. Andrew's in a really good spot. He's confident. He knows what he wants, and I think you need that at a super speedway.
What is as we're gonna be catching some lap traffic here in just a minute or two. What is Gary Bowman does the gentleman move of getting down and out of the way? And I want to say the next car they're going to catch is that Dwayne Young up there, I do believe. What is Andrew Caldwell's current winning streak at? Isn't it like 130, something like that?
I'll do you one better. Andrew Caldwell, driver of the 46. It has been 151 races since the last time that 46 truck was in victory lane. Andrew Caldwell holds currently the 9th longest all-time winless streak here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. 9th longest ongoing winless streak, I should clarify here. And with another one would jump himself up to 8th, actually.
My goodness. And it's kind of crazy to think about this, Arie, right? And Andrew Caldwell was one of our Championship 4 drivers last season, and you know he's got a lot of really good runs this season so far, just yet to break into that winners column through this season. So I find that hard to believe, but Andrew Caldwell does not run like he's on a 150 race winning streak.
Certainly doesn't, and he's about done as much as you can do, finishing runner-up in the point standings last season. In that championship finale, he's done just about everything he can do outside of parking in victory lane. And I think in Andrew's case, particularly, this is going to be one of those floodgate scenarios where whenever it does happen, whenever he does get that monkey off his back, it's going to open right up for that 46.
Chris Mackey leads the field as they come down here into turn number 1. The top two have separated themselves a little bit from third place. Jared Anderson fights Andrew Caldwell currently for third. Amanda Sherman rounds out the top 5 as they run Corey Sherman in the back. Corey Sherman. Oh, what happened to Corey? Let's take a closer look at Mr. Sherman. This is a couple of weeks in a row now. Oh, Jaden Wicks comes down off the outside wall. We're gonna have to be quick about this here.
Oh yeah, might have to get a
Arie, yeah, help me out here, Arie, if you
might
if you're
have to
able.
get a further back shot right here. Let's see if we can't go back here, and this is gonna be we're gonna have to watch this just a little bit here with Corey Sherman, who was having a pretty good recovery, was involved in that wreck at the end of stage 1 just a bit, found himself kind of back here in the pack. He had gotten his damage fixed. I think Corey was just kind of riding around for now, biding his time. Looks like the 48 gets into the 0-2, 76 involved. They get it going, but yeah, more contact.
There's secondary contact between the 48 and Corey Sherman.
No
I mean,
worries.
I give Corey Sherman a lot of trouble here on the broadcast, but you want to talk about wrong place, wrong time. Absolute wrong place, wrong time for the 3.
That's been the story of his season so far, is what it feels like for driver number 3. It's unfortunate, but sometimes that's just the way the dice fall, unfortunately, and hopefully Corey can get it turned around for the second half of the season. But nothing he's been bringing on himself or been doing to himself by any means. As we continue to watch this battle shake up towards the front of the field right here. Chris Mackey, Mike Stuyvesant in control. We're going to watch from on board Jared Anderson. Looking back at Amanda Sherman, Greg Mitchell, side by side. We got Lee Campbell sneaking into the picture. Back here as well, Jason Raymond. Oh, issues for Andrew Caldwell on the 46, up into the wall. Heavy damage for the 46. What happened to Andrew Caldwell, who is missing the entire front of his truck? How do you manage that without a caution?
Let's see if we can't see what happens to Andrew Caldwell here. So he's currently running up towards the front. Tanner Marr gets up into the outside of the 46, and
looks like the wall just ripped his bumper off.
yeah, let's take another look here. Let's take a look from about here, and let's slow this down just a little bit. We may be.
I think we gotta go across the front straightaway.
Yeah, so now Tanner Marr comes across the start-finish line, and down here in turn number 1 is where we're going to see the issues between the 46 and the 46.
Might have been the next lap around, maybe.
And there you can see it, just right front contact with left rear contact, and Andrew Caldwell just... That's one of those things, Arie, that's a super unfortunate. Andrew did nothing wrong, was having a great run out here tonight, and was just in the wrong place, wrong time, and iRacing decides you don't need a front of your vehicle.
Absolutely correct, and really unfortunate for the 46. Andrew is having a fantastic night. Looks like that winless streak is going to tick one up after all. Commentator's curse. Dinner's on us tonight, Andrew.
Well, in that case, I think Arie Heinzman is running great at Kansas right now. Arie, you know, you and I, we've got a unique experience out here. I was on the track last week at Dover, and you're going to be on the track next week at Kansas. I know for me last week, as these drivers continue to run, they're currently working lap number 82 of 134. When you only have 1 or 2 opportunities at possibly getting a win or even being able to compete out here, it becomes a little bit more special for you and I to come out here and try to run with the drivers that are out here every single week.
It certainly does, and you know, I got to experience this earlier this season at Nashville, and you know, it had only been a couple weeks into the season at that point, so you know, it was there to a degree, but certainly not as much as it will be next week. And you know, we have an opportunity to race on Thursdays. We're racing the Throwback Bolt Cup Series here at Cyber, and while those aren't broadcasted, they've been a lot of fun, and they've been an opportunity for us both to race week in and week out. But there's just something about the Truck Series. The Tuesday Night Thunder here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League is the premier series that we run. It's where, you know, all of the people are, all of the eyes are, all of the hype and all of the attention is, and you know, it very much gets, you know, all the love that we could give it. So being able to jump down there on track after broadcasting for most of the season is a really special opportunity, and I'm hoping to go out next week at a track in Kansas, one of my better tracks, and have an opportunity to get up there and compete like I did in Nashville. Hopefully not shoot myself in the foot with strategy and and be up there towards the end.
Well, at Kansas, I don't disagree that would probably be a great opportunity for you to possibly get a win at. One driver that may be thinking about getting a win out here tonight is currently running in third place, and that is Mr. Lee Campbell. Lee came so close, ever so close, to getting his first career Cyber Thunder Racing League win at Nashville Super Speedway, but ran out of fuel just 200 feet short of the start-finish line. And I think that one has been sitting with him now for a little bit. He currently runs third. One of the biggest movers of the night. Looks like he's up 22 or 23 spots.
Yeah, it was absolute heartbreak for Lee Campbell, and he's shown that he's a good driver when it comes to fuel strategy races. His best career finish of second place happened at Iowa in a fuel strategy race a couple of seasons back as well. So Lee Campbell knows how to do it on fuel, and I feel like he's one of those drivers that you can't count out at a super speedway race. Of course, you could just throw the 36-sided die, as you like to say, but at the end of the day, I think there is a bit of skill that's involved with it, and usually we see Lee knows what he's doing when it comes to drafting and working these super speedway tracks. So no surprise to see him running up in the top 5 right now, and I've definitely got my eye on him as we go through the final stages of this event.
Looks like these drivers thought about taking it 3 wide down there on the backstretch for just a moment. Gary Bowman is going to be on pit road. Gary, multiple laps down, involved in that end of stage 1 wreck, but going to be coming down onto pit road. Chris Mackey, Mike Stuyvesant, that's how they race up front, side by side, nose to nose, deck lid to deck lid for the race lead. Jared Anderson quietly having a great run out here tonight, Arie. We were talking about Jared a little bit earlier, and then I'll admit, maybe I thought Jared maybe kind of snuck his way up there through that wreck and was going to kind of slide back, but Jared is having a great run out here tonight, and he's proven that he belongs up inside the top 5.
He certainly has, and he certainly is. And issues for Chris Mackey out of the race lead. Driver of the 17 keeps it from going all the way around, but incredibly slow down on the apron. Now finally going to merge back on a track, but out of the race lead. Just kind of got loose through the trioval, or did he get help?
I heard a sorry over the radio, so I'm thinking that there may have been contact here between the Home Depot truck and Chris Mackey, as it looks like there may have been.
Oh yeah, right
yeah,
there.
I'll say that there was contact there, but Chris did an incredible job of not bringing that truck back up onto the racing surface and causing a huge melee.
Certainly did. Great heads-up driving from the 17 of Chris Mackey. We'll see if he gets an opportunity to close back into the pack with a caution or so. But look at this. Greg Mitchell, whose name we haven't said since the wreck in stage 1, is now all of a sudden leading this race off of a push from Rick Thompson, who we also haven't mentioned all night.
Yeah, Greg started 15th on the board, and we were like, that doesn't sound like Greg Mitchell. And now he currently leads the race, but Rick Thompson currently in second. Rick still looking for his first win, came second behind Cody Gibson a couple of times this season so far. But here comes Lee Campbell in that 60 Ford F-150. Can tonight be the night for Lee Campbell to get his first win? We will see as they come across the line here to begin lap number 91 of 34. Remember, they get about 37 laps of fuel here, Arie. So in about 5, 6, maybe 7 laps, that's when we're going to officially be in the window, and the pay window is open.
It certainly is. It's getting down to crunch time pretty quick right here as Greg Mitchell leads. They're 2x2 behind. Rick Thompson on the bottom, Lee Campbell on the top. How is this going to shake out? They've got some lap cars up ahead, but man, Tom, I'm incredibly surprised at how broken up this lead pack is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. If you take a look at the so the lead pack is kind of that big group of drivers on the backstretch there in the top part of the track map, and then you've got a group of 5, 6, 7, 8 cars running elsewhere within the running order. But you see Greg Mitchell, leader, gets into the outside retaining wall, and
that's going to give the lead to Rick Thompson. I don't think Greg was ready for how fast he entered turn 3 off of the draft of these lap down cars. he probably got sucked in quite a bit and entered with more speed than he anticipated. And with how old the tires are at this point in the run, you see so many drivers up in the wall. They're just getting tight.
Yeah, and Greg was one of those drivers that was talking about having so much issues with the tires the later in the run. So I mean, it very well could just be that. I mean, we'll see. But I'm starting to hear these drivers say, you know, hey, I'm coming down in the next lap or two. So we're going to keep an eye out and see if we can't catch a couple of these live pit stops. Remember, they have to enter on the backstretch here, so it will be a very interesting run. Dwayne Young comes down pit road.
Dwayne Young comes down right now, and anyone who's coming down this, he changes his mind actually by the looks of it. Anyone who comes down right now would have to save 3 laps of fuel from here to the finish on their next run. So the longer you can go at this point, the better. If you can make it to about 36, 37 to go, you'll be in a very good window. But, you know, it's going to be stretching it on fuel. We're running these tanks about dry at this point, so not to mention the tires are screaming for these drivers. No takers this time. Through turns 3 and 4. Mike Stiverson in control of this race. Lee Campbell up into the outside wall. Driver in 4th position at the moment. The handling has gone away, and I think that's a big part of why this pack is so broken up at the moment. Maybe part of the reason why we don't see 2 different lines running. Could also just be drivers not wanting to get stuck on the high side when they got a pit momentarily. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the running order remain the same. 20, 55, 76. Until we start making our pit stops. Looks like everyone's going to go by one more time at the very least.
And you can see the entire top 10, top 12, top 13 of drivers. They've elected to start a single file out. So that's got to tell me that they're all coming down here very, very soon. Let's take a look here and see if Greg Mitchell has any throttle input to indicate a pit stop here. Nothing this time.
Nothing at the moment. This is Chris Mackey, driver of the 17, who's on pit road at the moment. One of the first drivers to pull down. See Dave Gainforth in the 101 further back. Race leaders stay out. It's going to be 36 to go at the line, and now we are comfortably in the fuel window. Pit stops from here can comfortably make it to the end. However, you wouldn't have enough for any overtimes without coming down for some more fuel. So something to keep in mind is these drivers make their way onto the backstretch. Mike Stiverson going to bring the field down. It's going to be everyone in the lead pack.
Just how fast they are coming down pit road. See Tanner Marr gets wide on the access road down here. No pit road speed limit down here until you get to the pit lane cone here, and we got to slow that beast down. Looks like everybody did a great job getting on pit road, as it looks like there's about 9 or 10 cars joining them.
Fantastic work from the lead field. Not seeing any penalties thrown out quite yet. At the moment, everyone's going to peel their way on into their respective pit boxes. And we're going to see how this shakes out. We got Lee Campbell, who pit a lap earlier by the looks of it, just now coming out.
Yeah, so Lee pit. Where is Lee on track?
Turn 3.
Lee is down here in turn number 3. I think he kind of pitted by himself, if I had to take a guess. I mean, he's got nobody around him.
Did. He's gonna merge out. He's not gonna be too bad though. He doesn't have any draft at the moment. I don't think it'll work out too poorly. Oh, there's an issue off a pit road. Multiple cars down on the apron. We're all in a big kerfuffle right there, if you will. We saw a brief moment of it. It looks like everyone got it going again, but this field's going to be quite spread out now. Some damage on Jason Raymond's 49. Not sure if that's from whatever just happened. I'm unsure. See if we can't try and queue up a replay right here. Oh yeah, significant issues. See if we can go back a little further. Oh my goodness. Okay. We might have to rewind the tapes here, Tom. Big issues out of pit road for these guys. So let's see. It looks like 3 wide on pit exit. Rick Thompson gets hooked by the 4 of Tanner Marr, goes into the 92.
And Ed Jurgen just says, what just happened?
Absolutely did. And that's going to slow down everyone on pit exit right here. A couple of drivers are able to go around, but Tanner Marr gets a bad deal of it. Ed Jurgen as well. What this does is put Greg Mitchell and Mike Stiverson on an island in the lead.
I mean, you take a look right now, these two drivers have a 2-second lead over Lee Campbell, but that's only going to continue to grow because if you look at Lee, Lee's got nobody behind him. So unless Mike and Greg want to play nice, which I don't think that's going to be the case. That 2-second lead's only going to continue to grow. It's not for another 4 seconds before Lee Campbell's going to find Brad Holmes and Logan Spencer running back in 5th.
Well, I tell you what, Tom, let's not forget that Mike Stiverson and Greg Mitchell are effectively teammates. They run together in the same channel. So these two working together is more than just coincidence here on track. And we know that they're going to be doing everything they can to make sure that those two finish in the top 2 in whatever order they may. But I think they're going to be doing everything they can to hold on to this advantage until we get to the white flag.
See Greg Mitchell making his way around Fred Thompson in the 79 truck there. Almost issues with Dave Gainforth running directly behind him, but a little bit of separation right now for the lead pack, but that 2-second gap has now opened up to about 2.5 seconds over Lee Campbell. Now Lee does have the benefit of catching some lap traffic here, but I mean, I guess he's got Ed Jurgen up there, but I think Ed is probably too damaged to make use of. Oh my goodness!
That's one of the ways to go through those guys. If I'm Lee, I'm looking forward to catching Dave Gainforth as maybe my best shot to have anything to stay up here in 3rd or catch the guys ahead. And Lee does have a pretty big advantage to get to double back there in 4th place. 9 seconds back from the leader. Brad Holmes has got the help of the lap down car packs in Frith and help from behind in Logan Spencer. And they got that bigger pack. The majority of those drivers who pit with the leaders in this last sequence, led by Amanda Sherman, Andy Cork, Jason Raymond. These 6 trucks in a line.
So now flipping over here, so we just changed our timing and scoring tower to last lap time. So take a look at the leaders right now. Greg Mitchell, Mike Stiverson, 30.2s, 30.2, 30.2. Amanda Sherman, 30.6, 30.6, 30.6, all the way down. So even though they've got a little bit of a bigger pack, these two leaders are running, several tenths of a second faster.
They certainly are, and I'm really curious as to what might be causing that and what might be slowing down that larger pack back there. Maybe they're just not formed up well enough, but this little tandem right here of the 55 and the 20, showing that you get 2 cars linked together, and it feels like we're back in 2011 again, watching the Cup Series race with the way these guys are able to just kind of pull out and make it happen. And a good piece of this, Tom, could be the fact that Greg Mitchell, Mike Stiverson, these guys race in the same call. They're teammates. They can communicate the entire time, but they also race with each other all the time. So if you're going to tandem draft with anybody, make it one of those guys, and you're going to have a pretty good advantage.
Yeah, make it somebody that you can effectively communicate with, right? I mean, it's a whole lot easier, right, than say if I was in a call with Gary Bowman, right? Gary and I, we run very well together, but we can't directly communicate saying, hey, I'm going to jump up, I'm going to jump down, let's say, hey, my engine is hot. These drivers have that advantage right now. And last time by, 30.71 for both first and second place, 30.9, 30.8 for that larger pack back there. So continuing to pull away as they make their way around the 76 of Mr. Rick Thompson.
We'll see if Rick can pull in to the draft here. Rick does have some damage from that incident on pit road exit, but if they get a lap car in their draft mixing it up, that will be quite the opportunity for the finish to be shaken up between these two, assuming we go green all the way. Could, of course, be a big wrench thrown in those gears if a caution came out at any point, but field is about as spread out as you could imagine at this point.
And you could just see, so right now there's only 2 cars being shown on the track map. That's Greg Mitchell and Amanda Sherman. Amanda Sherman is kind of leading the second pack. But you could see Greg Mitchell and Mike Stuyvesant at the start-finish line. Amanda Sherman just now exiting turn number 4. So that's as big of a difference that they do have. It's 11 and a half seconds. I tell you what, though, Lee Campbell, he's caught on to a couple of different cars. He's got Eric Anderson, Dave Gainforth, Jaden Wicks, Dwayne Young back in this little pack here. He's got some good cars that he could possibly run with. Now, do I think that he's going to go up there and catch the race leaders? Probably not, but he did run faster than the race leader, than the first and second place last time by.
Looks like this time by as well.
It's going to be difficult for Lee Campbell to catch up to the race leaders. Now, if he can catch Rick Thompson, I think Rick is probably good enough and not damaged so much that he could probably utilize the 76. We may see the 60 catch up.
I tell you what, Tom,
I don't know.
I'm watching that interval. 1 lap ago at this point, that interval was 2.2 seconds. It's 1.6. Lee Campbell has the draft of Rick Thompson, who has the draft of Mike Stuyvesant. Lee Campbell is going to be running some of the fastest laps on track right now. He's down to 1.4 seconds, 1.3 seconds, 1.2 seconds.
What happens when he gets around Rick? Or you know,
I think he pushes him.
Rick's got some damage on the front of that truck, on the left front of that truck. I don't know.
He does. We'll see.
So close for Lee. I don't. Oh, and he is going to line up behind him. Maybe jump
he thought about it
here.
He's gonna have to hope that he doesn't get side drafted too bad here.
Yeah, he's gonna have Dave Gainforth or Eric Anderson decide that they want to run behind the 60, because Lee is so close to possibly catching the draft of Mike Stuyvesant. Currently runs in second place. First place, Greg Mitchell, as they run right now. But they are... It's going to be a difficult one.
It certainly is. It's down to 1.3. 1.2. Caution is out. Throw everything we were talking about in the garbage can, because there are issues on track for the War Wagon. Amanda Sherman, who is leading that second pack, has an issue, and we are going to see if we can figure out what happened to driver 88. Got sent 3 wide. Andy Cork, Jason Raymond on either side, and just gets tagged right there. I'm not sure if that was physical contact or an internet connectivity issue for the 88, but the 89 also involved Philip Van Vliet. See if we can't go back here and get one more look at it. Ooh. Yeah, it looks like the iRacing service registered contact right there. And at the end of the day, we like to keep it as far from the online thing as possible. Keep it as real as possible, but I think that's going to be one of those incidents, unfortunately, where... see if we can get a good shot of it here. This is probably the best shot we got. The 41 doesn't actually make contact with the 88. You could just see the truck act like it was hit. He goes around. An unfortunate deal of racing over the internet. Sometimes things like that just happen. Can't really do much about it. Really unfortunate for Amanda Sherman in the 88, who is having a fantastic run up to this point this evening. It does, however, bring the field back together. And now, as all of our race leaders come down on pit road to make their final pit stops, we're going to throw this pack back together for a shootout that'll end up being about 13 laps or so. Pay close attention to this pit exit right here. Watching Greg Mitchell, who is in control of this lead, going to maintain. No, he's not. Lee Campbell out ahead with a 2-tire pit stop ahead of Greg Mitchell. Mike Stuyvesant going to be the next 2 out. Dave Gameforth's a lap car. Jason Raymond is going to be P4 on exit. Logan Spencer, Andy Cork. Paxton Frith is a lap down car. Fred Thompson is a lap down car. We've got our top 6 decided. Everyone else is on pit road for long enough to get some damage fixed at the very least. And with that, a couple drivers electing to take a wave around. Jaden Wicks, Ed Jurgen, Gonna try and make their way back around. That would put Ed Jurgen back on the lead lap. It would put Jaden Wicks back on the lead lap. So those two gonna hope to get some positions by getting a lap back right here for this final run to the finish. And now, the driver who worked so hard to catch up to the top two in the draft game in that green flag run right there, Lee Campbell. The hard work paid off. It might not have been in the way that Lee was hoping for, but now he finds himself in control of this race on a 2-tire pit stop, which I don't hate. Right side tires, get them nice and fresh. This final run's not going to be very long at all. It's going to loosen up that truck a good little bit, and that might get risky, might get dangerous. These trucks were already handling real loose. And we can see Lee choosing the outside line on this restart, probably for that very reason. If Lee gets stuck on that bottom line, it might not go too well on those 2 tires, so Lee might be opting to take the outside line as a better option right here. Going to have Mike Stuyvesant behind him on that second row. Greg Mitchell is going to start to the inside in P2, the help of Jason Raymond in the 49 just behind. And we've got quite the shaken up field at the moment. Number of drivers needing to catch back up to the field. When the caution came out, the field was spread all the way around the track. Everyone had to catch up, make their pit stops, catch up again. We're going to have a pretty scattered field by the time we go green again. See a couple of drivers finding their spot in line right here. We'll see if those lights stay out on the pace car or if it's extended by a lap to get everyone caught up. Lee Campbell, Greg Mitchell, going to be the front row for our restart to end the 5th caution of the evening. Looks like we got most everyone caught up at this point. Pace car is going to pull off, take that hard left-hand turn. Into the restart zone we go. Lee Campbell, driver of the 60 on the outside, in control on that loud pedal. And up to speed we go. This pack is caught back up. There are 15 laps to go here in Atlanta.
Lee Campbell gets a great restart here with 15 laps remaining from EchoPark Speedway. Greg Mitchell jumps to the outside. New third-place runner Jason Raymond in the 49 tries to chase down the 55 and the 60. Mike Stuyvesant dips down low, and he's going to try to fill that spot that Jason Raymond just vacated now down here into turn number 3. The 60 under fire from the 49 and the 20.
Under fire indeed, but there's no help on that outside line for Jason Raymond. He's going to have to rely on that side draft. How much can he do? He does have a damaged right front on that truck. Near contact. There is contact. It's going to send the 49 up. Mike Stuyvesant trying to help. And is Mike Stuyvesant going to get shuffled out of line? He is on the outside line now. But Lee Campbell looking for that line. He's going to get loose on those 2 tires. Lee Campbell comes back up onto the track. He's loose again. Up onto the track again. They somehow sorted out Lee Campbell to the back of this lead pack. Meanwhile, up front, Greg Mitchell continues to lead this race.
Yeah, Lee Campbell continues his ball from grace as he is now back down into 8th position, but Greg Mitchell, Jason Raymond, Chris Mackey, Mike Stuyvesant, that's the top 4, rounded out the top 5 by Jared Anderson. Brad Holmes in 6th place right now, but you throw a blanket over this top 6, and I mean, it's too early to pick here with 12 laps to go.
It certainly is, and I'm really shocked to see the 49 with that damage on the right front leading the bottom line, led the top line for a moment, now leads the bottom line. It looks like he's still really quick. I don't know how much of that is the side draft and the help that he's getting from behind, but Jason Raymond putting up a fight with that damaged truck at the moment. I really like that high side, how it's forming up with Greg Mitchell, Jared Anderson on the outside. Those are 2 pristine-looking trucks. They're going to get the help soon, whether it's from Logan Spencer or somebody else who catches on up to the back of those 2, but I really like how that outside line's shaping up at the moment as we've got 11 laps to go coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, Jared Anderson gets a big push for Greg Mitchell down the backstretch here. On the inside line is Jason Raymond in that 49 truck. Mike Stuyvesant tries to help the inside line down here. Now, the teammates that we saw working together here about 5-10 laps ago before that most recent yellow flag. They're now separated here, Arie, between the 55 and the 20. And we may see other drivers try to purposely separate them because they just saw how well they were running together.
Absolutely, these guys are quite separated at the moment, and here we go into turn 3 and 4. That outside line has all of the trucks at this point. Lee Campbell back into the conversation. Look how quick that 60 truck got back into the picture as Greg Mitchell leads ahead of Jared Anderson on the outside line. That bottom line trying to work Jason Raymond. Mike Stiverson trying to make something happen, but that damaged 49 truck might not be helping their case. And now we've got Logan Spencer into the conversation for one of the first times this evening. Third car back on the outside line. Going to try and be that final bit to push these guys on the outside line ahead to the advantage. Across the line this time, it's going to be 8 laps to go.
And now the give and take turns into a grab and go as these drivers see 8 laps remaining, just about 20 miles of racing to go. The inside lane starting to fall apart, the outside lane being led by Greg Mitchell. Jared Anderson still continuing to have a great run up here, proving he belongs, like I said before, inside the top 5, now upside the top 3.
That he is. The first driver to pull down is going to be Logan Spencer, who's not afraid to get pushed by the 49, but the 49 doesn't want anything to do with it. Jason Raymond jumps up to the outside line and fills that vacant spot. Trouble further back. Is it going to bring out a yellow? Not so far. We keep it green.
Looks like possibly Eric Anderson. Jaden Wicks, yellow flag is out. Jaden Wicks involved. Eric Anderson possibly involved. What happened to this one here?
Let's go ahead and find out what happened if we go a little bit further back here with Jaden Wicks. This is going to be an issue that happens on the front straightaway, so we're going to watch through turns 3 and 4 right here. Driver the 0-2. Like Eric Anderson tries to get to the inside. It just taps the 0-2, gets him out of shape. Eric goes through the grass. The 0-2 hard up into the outside wall. That is going to be night-ending damage for the 0-2 of Jaden Wicks, unfortunately, with all the suspension damage caused from that one. We'll see if we can't get one more look at this. And let's see if we can't watch it from... Oh, let's see. Where is Mr. Anderson? Here we go. Let's watch this from on board Eric Anderson. Yeah, just kind of collects the 0-2. Wasn't ready for him to be slowing up like that. Maybe looking to the inside, unsure where to go, what to do. Collects the 0-2 in that one, unfortunately. And now we get to re-rack them one more time. Greg Mitchell in control of this race. Gonna bring everyone back into the fold yet again. Give these drivers another opportunity. This is gonna separate the 5 from the 55. We've seen those two work extremely well together so far this evening as drafting partners. That 5 has been a fantastic pusher to the 55, but now they're going to be starting side by side on this restart. On that second row, it's going to be Logan Spencer and Jason Raymond. Out of the top group, out of the top 10, the only driver who has won a race this season is Greg Mitchell, the race leader. 2nd through 10th are searching for their first win of the season. There are a number of drivers looking for their first career Cyber Thunder Racing League victory. Jared Anderson, Logan Spencer, Jason Raymond, Lee Campbell, Chris Mackey, Andy Cork, Rick Thompson, Brad Holmes. All names looking for their first victory in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Drivers that have a lot to race for, want to park their trucks in victory lane for the first time. We'll see what happens on this restart. If they want to do it, they're going to have to go through that 55. Greg Mitchell, we talked about him before. One of the more versatile drivers on the sim, and a driver who knows how to get it done at super speedway tracks. Has a win in Talladega a couple seasons ago. Can Greg Mitchell add another one to his tally and put his name back on top with a 4th win on the season. We'll find out. We're going to double it up. And Greg Mitchell's electing to take the outside line on this restart. It's going to put Jared Anderson on the inside. Go ahead.
I tell you what, Arie, if I'm Greg Mitchell, and, you know, he looks in his mirror and he sees Jared Anderson, Logan Spencer, Jason Raymond, Mike Stuyvesant, Lee Campbell, Chris Mackey, Andy Cork, all these drivers that you were just talking about that have not yet won a race in the season, but have run very strong all season long. If I'm Greg, I'm a little bit more nervous maybe than usual, right? Because these drivers have the potential to be up here every single week, and tonight they're up there. And we may see one of these drivers break through with the first win of the season. You got to go all the way down to, is it 11th place on the running position, Eric Anderson, before you find the first repeat winner of the season. And that is Eric Anderson, currently 1 lap down as this field runs along out here tonight.
That would be correct. 9 drivers left on the lead lap. Make it 10, just barely with Rick Thompson still on pit road. But we're going to get ready to restart this down to the final group who have survived this far. We're on lap 130, coming to 131. Race ends at the conclusion of 134, unless we get a caution to cause overtime. Pace car is going to get ready to pull off. Greg Mitchell on the outside is the control car. Jared Anderson on the inside, trying to keep it side by side into turn 1. Barney's got that green flag in his hand. Into the restart zone we go. Greg Mitchell going to be on that loud pedal and bringing the field with him up through the gears.
Barney's going to send them on their way as the field of these drivers race down into turn number 1. Greg Mitchell leads the field. Jared Anderson currently holds on to 2nd. Jason Raymond in 3rd. Logan Spencer in 4th. And Lee Campbell, that rounds out the top 5 as they run right now. Mike Stuyvesant led a bunch of laps earlier, currently runs back in 7th place. And Andy Cork, the driver that I kind of highlighted earlier out here this evening, currently runs in 8th.
Looks like everyone wanted that outside line. I'm surprised to see Jared Anderson not take the advantage he had, pulling up to the back of Greg Mitchell, who had a huge gap on that restart. I would have taken that opportunity, perhaps, to try and make a pass for the lead, but Jared Anderson wants to stay hooked to that 55, wants to be there with a shot at the end. Gonna leave that bottom side open for the likes of Logan Spencer and any other takers who want to work that bottom side here as we work 2 laps to go coming through turns 3 and 4.
This time by, we're going to see the white flag from EchoPark Speedway as we're going to have 1.5 miles of racing to decide it. Greg Mitchell brings us to the white flag. Chris Mackey runs in 2nd, Jared Anderson in 3rd, and Jason Raymond in 4th. But don't count out Lee Campbell in 5th right now. They're side by side, Chris Mackey and teammate Jason Raymond down on the inside line, working down the backstretch.
Down we go, neck and neck. Greg Mitchell, Chris Mackey, and maybe Jared Anderson entering the picture as well. The leaders are going to make contact. The 5 is shuffled on a line. Chris Mackey, contact with the 55, and now to the line. Who's it going to be? Chris Mackey in the 17 is going to win in EchoPark Speedway.
That was an incredible finish with Chris Mackey picking up his first win in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Chris doesn't take him long to find victory lane out here this evening. Took him just 9 races in the Cyber Thunder Racing League to do so, and Jason Raymond, teammate right behind him, pulling up to show some congratulations from Jason Raymond. But Chris Mackey, the big winner out here this evening.
What an incredible final lap from these drivers. Why don't we go ahead and rewatch a little bit of what happened here, maybe even slow it down just a little bit. Zoom it out. The 5 of Jared Anderson wound up in the wall right there. That's going to stall the momentum. Jason Raymond looked to the inside for half a second. Couldn't quite get there. That's going to give the push to the 17 coming off of the corner. Greg Mitchell doesn't have any help. The 5 is all out of shape. And the 17 of Chris Mackey comes up the track just a brief moment and decides to cut back down, try to take the shortest route to the finish line. Greg Mitchell just doesn't have the help that the 17 has. His teammate Jason Raymond on his back bumper all the way there. And that's going to get the 17 across the line first as the others are all heading towards the fence as they cross the line. That gives us our final order. Mackey, Mitchell, Raymond, Stuyvesant, Anderson, your top 5 unofficially.
see the celebratory victory burnouts for Chris Mackey in that number 9 Chevy Silverado. Out here, we got a trio of Chevys on the podium out here tonight, and let's see if we can't grab our third place finisher, Jason Raymond. Jason Raymond, Tom, up in Arie, up here in the booth. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Hey, we are doing okay. You kind of came out of nowhere. You came up on that last lap. You found your teammate in front of you and pushed them to a victory. But great run out here tonight for that number 49. And how you feeling about the rest of the season?
I'm looking forward to it. I felt pretty good here tonight. I had some, unfortunate incidents earlier in the race, and I actually have 2 minutes of damage. But truck was still rolling pretty good, and yeah, he had a super big run down on my outside, with me on the outside. He cleared down, and I knew I couldn't lead the line with the 2 minutes of damage. We would have just went backwards. So getting behind him, it was pretty cool to push a teammate. It's his first win in here too, so it's pretty awesome to be able to push a teammate to the win and come home third.
Yeah, your team has really come on strong this season with Cody Gibson getting multiple victories out here already. Tanner Marr getting a win earlier in the season, and now Chris Mackey joining the ranks of the winner column out here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Jason, now kind of as we go into the second half of the opening stage of 25 Season 2, what kind of additional pressure is put on you, and any tracks circled in the next 3 or 4 weeks that we may see the 49 in victory lane at?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's some pressure. All the teammates out here got wins, and I'm the only one that hasn't. But I probably have about half the starts they do too, so that makes up for it. Just go into every week. I don't really have any particular tracks where I feel like I'm super strong, but just go into every week and try the best you can and stay smart, survive, and I should find myself up there.
Well, I think Jason was quick to remind us that he's got half the starts of the rest of his teammate. But Jason, congratulations on a podium finish out here this evening at EchoPark Speedway. We're going to open up the floor for anybody you want to thank. Say hello to your Hays and Highs here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network.
I appreciate it. First and foremost, I got to thank you two for doing the broadcast every week and then putting on the league. We wouldn't have a place to race without you guys. So. And then all the Five Kings Motorsports teammates and sponsors. We got True Sim Productions. We got Elite Performance Industries, Chop House Restorations. I got Larrabee's Landscaping, my personal sponsor. USA Firearms. I got my girlfriend watching too. That's pretty cool. She doesn't get to watch much, but I'm happy she got to watch this. And just everybody that supports the team. It's pretty cool to be here.
Well, congratulations once again to the 49 of Jason Raymond getting a podium finish out here tonight. Jason, hope to talk to you again next week at Kansas. But our second place finisher, Mr. Mitchell, I believe Arie has got our second place finisher, if I can find him.
I do indeed. Runner up tonight, driver of the 55, who early on in this race was caught up in that incident in stage 1, and maybe looked like for a second we were going to see a battle all the way to the end with a bunch of drivers who had not yet won this season. But Greg, you found your way up to the front, and you tried to control this race for much of the second half, and you were able to for quite a while there, and you and Mike had found yourselves on an island after those green flag pit stops before the cautions came flooding in, and just kind of throwing a wrench into everything. But it looked like you were kind of giving your all out there to try and get another one in the bank.
Yeah, it was just nice to be back up front after the first half of that race. I didn't even know if I'd get close because I had a minute of damage on the first wreck and then another 2.5 on the second. So I just kept getting, every time I'd make a little ground to the top 10, I'd have to start back over at the back again. So yeah, it worked out well. Mike and I got in and off pit road pretty well. I think there was a wreck on exit or something too, which probably helped us out. And we were looking good had that caution not come out, but like I told Mike, is whatever, regardless of what happens, we did all that we had in our power to get a lead and put us in the right spot. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, certainly the case. And, you come out to a track like Atlanta where the chaos is at an all-time high. And, as much as super speedway racing can come down to luck versus skill and all of these arguments, I think there is a big factor of it that's just completely out of your control and getting caught up in those incidents like we saw with Cody Gibson, for example, getting a dead last finish after that wreck at the end of stage 1. So how worried were you coming into this race? Having come in off of a couple of weeks and not really finishing where you are expecting to finish, not really running how you're expecting to run, and this kind of being a big toss-up where it could really turn your fortunes around or really just keep you down there. How much were you worried coming into tonight's race?
Yeah, honestly, I think of all the super speedways, this is the one that's the most stressful, or you worry the most about getting caught up in wrecks. Is Daytona and Talladega, you have a lot more room. Here, there's just no room, and you got to have a lot of confidence around the guys around you to go 3 wide. After about 20 laps, the tires really fall off, and you're pushing on entry, and you're loose trying to catch it the rest of the turn. So it's really hard to go 3 wide after a while. You got to do it on fresh tires, if anything. But yeah, expectations are low coming here. I'll put it that way. You never know where you're going to end up or what you're going to get caught up in. You just want to try to be at least semi close to the front so you have a shot at the end.
Yeah, certainly the case. Well, congratulations on a runner-up spot tonight, Greg. I'm going to open up the floor to you to any shout-outs, thank yous, hays, and eyes that you want to give out tonight.
Thanks, Arie. Thanks, Tom. Awesome broadcast every single week. Love hearing you guys. It's awesome. I enjoy watching the broadcast every week. So good job for everything you guys have done. I want to say congrats to Chris. I was just talking with him. This is his first league broadcasted win, and he's from Georgia, so kind of a home win for him. So happy for him to pull that off. And then thanks to Eric for sponsoring tonight.
Absolutely. Well, there's your runner-up finisher, Greg Mitchell, who brings it home in P2 this evening. And I do believe Tom has caught up with our race winner.
That is correct. We got race winner Chris Mackey out here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Networks. Chris, how you doing? It's Tom and Arie up here in the Cyber Thunder booth.
Man, I'm doing good. I'm still coming down from that. That was a heck of a finish right there.
It certainly was. We saw, I don't want to say you guys kind of came out of nowhere, right? Because you guys planned your move and you ran a great couple of final laps there. But with about 20 laps to go, you guys were nowhere to be seen. We had that caution come out. What was kind of your mindset when we saw that late race caution come out? Just say, maybe I got a shot at this, or maybe sometimes do you just go to, oh man, I just wanted to finish 7th out here tonight and not get wrecked?
No, I was begging for that caution because after that I got spun from the lead, and no, not intentionally or anything. It just happened. Me and Mike got together, and after I'd been out front and lost the pack, we went through pit, and I was like, man, I just need a caution. I knew if we got a caution, I'd be able to make my way back up, at least in the top 5. I feel like I'm pretty good at Atlanta. And then that caution came out, and I was like, okay, let's regroup. What's next? All right, I'm going to be lucky dog. When we went green, and I was lucky dog, I mean, I was 2nd or 3rd car in line on the longest line, and I think the first lap after that green flew, I mean, I got all the way up to like 5th or 6th, past like 10 or 15 lap cars and a couple lead lap cars, and I was like, okay, we're reset here. And I was feeling good, and that caution came out. And big shout out to Jason Raymond, though. We were kind of talking. He had some damage on his front end, and I kind of had to make a crazy down the back straightaway. I had to kind of split him and another car because he couldn't be the one to make the move to lead the bottom line or it'd kill it. So I was like, I got to get there, and I know if I get there, Raymond's going to fall in behind me. So heck of a finish. I appreciate Greg for keeping it clean. I talked to him. He understood why I had to kind of run high coming out of 4 so I could pull back down. And man, that was just, and this is my first ever, I've won some league races, my first ever win on a broadcasted league. And I'm from Georgia. I'm from like 30 minutes west of Atlanta. So this is really cool, man. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, so you're saying there's sounding the siren out there tonight down in Dawsonville. But Chris, you came in tonight 8th in points. We still got to get points up, but got to imagine that you're going to gain a spot or 2 at the minimum with tonight's win. Now, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be seeing Kansas. We're going to be seeing Watkins Glen, Auto Club, North Wilkesboro, Rockingham. How do you feel about these next 3, 4, 5 tracks that are in front of us?
So Rockingham, I'm iffy about. Watkins Glen, I confidently think I should be another 5th, 6th, 7th place truck, just like Sonoma. I'm typically pretty good at the road courses. Kansas was the one I was banking on. I was thinking just get through this one and get to Kansas, and we'll win there, because that's one of my best tracks. I mean, I don't think in a league race I've been outside the top 4 or 5, so I'm really excited for Kansas, especially now I can go in there a little comfortable, because I'm still stressing the points, but tonight will definitely help, and I can go to Kansas and hopefully run up front. I know Cody's gonna be strong, Greg's gonna be strong, but hopefully I can be there to give him something as well.
Well, we're gonna see if that 17 truck that well, just blew up. I think you're trying to avoid post-race inspection. I think that's just what happened. But Chris Mackey, congratulations on your first win here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Gonna open up the floor for anybody you want to say hello to. Back home in Atlanta, watching that number 17 truck come home with a victory out here tonight. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, no, I mean, first and foremost, I want to thank the team, Five King Motorsports, Tanner, Jason, Cody. Larry Bell couldn't be here tonight, but thank him as well. He's always a great teammate. Anyone in Georgia who is needing a roof done, I know this was the Atlanta truck race. My roof company I own is about 30 minutes west of here. Just give us a call, Chop House Restorations, and we'll get you taken care of. And then thank you guys for putting on the league that you do. This is one of the best leagues I run every week, and I run one 7 days a week. So that says a lot about Cyber, and I really appreciate it, and I look forward to the rest of the season.
Well, we appreciate the kind words up here from the Cyber Thunder Racing League and the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Chris, congratulations once again on a victory out here this evening. Gonna get you down there and let you go celebrate with Jason. I think Jason's probably got a couple of drinks waiting for you, so kick you down there and let you go chat with Jason.
Oh yeah, thank you guys.
All right, and that is the top 3 finishers out here tonight from EchoPark Speedway as the field of 30 drivers begins to make their way out from this 1.5-mile super speedway out here tonight. Tonight, Arie, we saw a little bit of everything. We saw some bump drafting. We saw some bump drafting going wrong. We saw some pit entries maybe going wrong, and well, pit exits going wrong as well. But ultimately, at the end of the night, it was Chris Mackey, Greg Mitchell, and Jason Raymond that took the podium.
It was a crazy one, and it about lived up to the hype that that Atlanta has and that it brings to the schedule. So I'm excited to see how the points shake out after this one, to figure out how the power rankings shake out after this one. And I do think at the end of the day, one of the cooler stories from Victory Lane tonight with one of our rookies this season, and Chris Mackey, driver the 17, who started off kind of slow and quiet, and just did what he needed to do, kind of earn the respect of the drivers around him, and then started to kind of step it up as we got into the middle of the season, and just about in the crossover between the first third and the second third finds himself in Victory Lane. So it's been a great story for Chris up to this point into the season and up to this point in his Cyber Thunder racing career. And I think it's a really, really awesome story that, he was able to get his first broadcasted win tonight here in Atlanta.
Yeah, and anytime you can get a first-time winner in any league, right? But specifically in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, these wins are so hard to come by. So very special night for the driver out of the Five Kings Motorsports Cam. Chris Mackey comes home with the win. Second place, Greg Mitchell, and third place, Jason Raymond. That is your podium finishers. As we take a look at your finishing results out here tonight, Chris Mackey, Greg Mitchell, Jason Raymond, as we stated before, are your podium finishers. We just spoke to those drivers. Mike Stiverson led a bunch of laps out here tonight, comes home just over a tenth behind the possible checkered flag out here tonight. Jared Anderson. Jared, I think, probably had a great run out here tonight. Comes home with a solid top 5 finishing position out here tonight. If one or two things may have went a little bit different for Jared, could have been talking about a victory for that number 5 truck. Logan Spencer comes home in 6th. Lee Campbell comes home in 7th. Andy Cork, Brad Holmes, and Rick Thompson is the top 10.
Eric Anderson brings us home in 11th place ahead of Ed Jurgen in 12th. Dwayne Young, driver of the 48, brings it home in 13th. Jaden Wicks in 14th. Fred Thompson, driver of the 79, finishes in 15th this evening ahead of Dave Gainforth in 16th. Tanner Marr, driver of the 4, in 17th position. Paxton Frith in debut brings it home in 18th position ahead of Gary Bowman in 19th. And rounding out the top 20 is Dwarwag and Amanda Sherman.
21st place is held by Phil Van Vliet, the lone Dutchman. Andrew Caldwell, after running strong earlier in tonight's race, comes home in 22nd. 56 laps down. Corey Sherman, wrong place, wrong time for the driver of the number 3. Chevy Silverado, that's wrong. Brad Collins comes home in 24th. Matt Semple in 25th. Casey Tomlinson, Chris Letts, Nathan Dufton, Brian Dorsey, and Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson starting from the pole out here tonight, going to go from first to last, first to 30th for Cody Gibson.
Well, with that one, Tom, that's 9 races down out of 23. Next week, we're going to get into the double digits with race 10 on the season at Kansas. And I tell you what, I'm itching for it, Tom, because I get to jump back behind the wheel.
And Kansas is a whole lot of fun to drive, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're able to do up there and bringing those familiar. What truck are you going to be in? You're going to be in the root beer truck? You're going to bring in the NOS truck? What are you bringing out?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to decide. I've been thinking it's the root beer truck, but I don't know. You're giving me an interesting idea with a little throwback there. So we'll see what we show up and unload with.
Okay, well, the field is now put on notice as we make our way out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we're gonna go restack and repack, and I guess we'll be back here live on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network next week, live from Kansas Motor Speedway, the virtual heart of America, here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Arie, as always, want to thank you for joining me up here in the booth. As always, it is an absolute pleasure to do this with you.
Certainly is. Looking forward to next week, and looking forward to tomorrow night's event as well in the Frigadier Racing League. So let's head out of here, out of Atlanta. I don't know any good restaurants around here, Tom, but I'm sure you can lead me somewhere.
I'm sure there's a Buc-ee's somewhere.
There we go.